While planning the wedding, I was sleeping with 5 different men, 5, at the same time, while planning to vow eternal love. What an irony, right? Me, trying on wedding dresses during the day, and at night, well, you know. This isn't an excuse. This is a confession. Raw, unfiltered, just like it should have been from the start. Because my wedding wasn't a promise. It was a set, a beautiful stage full of clean lies, rehearsed smiles, and perfect social media photos. And I was the star of the most elegant deception you could imagine. My fiancé was every mother-in-law's dream. Responsible, attentive, hard-working. The kind of man who shows up on time, holds the door, takes your hand when you cross the street. The guy everyone said, never let him go. And I nodded, smiled, said yes to everything, even when, inside, I had been saying no for months. We met young. We grew up together. Apartment, pet, projects. The wedding was just the next logical step. So logical that no one asked if I was happy. I didn't even ask myself. I just moved forward, like sleepwalking. The first time wasn't about love. It wasn't about revenge either. It was about thrill, feeling something, breaking a routine that was quietly suffocating me. It was just another night, one of those that seem unimportant until they ruin your life. One drink too many, one laugh held too long, one look lingering a second too long, and that's it. Line crossed. I came home that early morning with my dress slightly askew, heart racing, and a small, still manageable guilt. I got into bed next to my future husband, who was sleeping peacefully, and thought, this won't happen again. And guess what? It did. Not once. Because something unlocks when you cross a certain point. Fear drops, risk becomes addictive, and guilt becomes negotiable. The second one I didn't seek out, but I didn't avoid it either. By the third, I knew exactly what I was doing. By the fourth, I had better alibis than a politician. And by the fifth, I was practically a professional. 5 men. 5 different versions of me. With one, I was the fun woman. With another, the vulnerable one. With another, the confident one. Another, the one who asked no questions. Another, the one who promised things I wouldn't keep. And at home, the perfect fiancé, talking about the honeymoon, children, possible names, saying I love you with a naturalness that now makes me cringe. The worst part wasn't sex. It wasn't desire. The worst was control, the double agenda, calculated silences, deleted audios, turned off locations, excuses served hot and on time, a meeting, a friend, work, no signal, my phone died. And he trusted so completely it was maddening. Trust that doesn't check, doesn't suspect, doesn't demand proof. I talked to him about centerpieces while hours earlier I had been in another bed. I showed him photos of venues while someone else still had my hands marked on their skin. Pure irony. We were planning a 100-person wedding. I was carrying 5 infidelities in my body and no one knew. My friends looked at me with envy. You're at the best moment of your life, they said. And I nodded. Of course. On the outside, I was flawless. Dress, ring, dates, reservations. Inside, a minefield. Sometimes in front of the mirror, I would look at myself and think, you're trash. And 5 minutes later, I'd be sending another risky message. Because knowing you're doing something wrong is one thing. Wanting to stop is another. I told myself I didn't love any of them, that it was just a phase, that I'd settle when I got married, that everything would fall into place afterward. How easy it is to lie to yourself when the truth ruins your future in a single sentence. And while I played the free woman in secret, my fiancé was playing at building a real life with me, working extra hours to pay for the wedding, breaking his back for a project I was already sabotaging. Did I feel powerful? Yes. Guilty? Also. Did I care enough to stop? No. And that's the darkest part of it all. Because betrayal doesn't always come from hatred. Sometimes it comes from boredom, from emptiness, from not knowing who you are when everything seems fine. And that's how I was, with 5 men, a ring on my finger, a date marked on the calendar, and a time bomb growing silently. Still, no one suspected anything, no one. I was untouchable, impeccable, the exemplary future bride. But lies don't hold themselves up. They weigh. They overlap. They contradict. And one day, without planning it, one misplaced piece starts moving everything else. And that's when the real story begins. The key to keeping everything running wasn't passion. It was logistics. I wasn't a woman in love 5 times. I was a woman organized 5 times. I learned quickly that cheating isn't about feeling. It's about managing. I had a calendar that looked like a business executive's, one for my official life, work, gym, family visits, wedding vendors, and another one, invisible, far more important, them. I didn't use real names, just initials, colors, time slots. One only ever saw the lunchtime me, another the night version. One got the long emotional messages. One got silence. One got chaos. None of them got all of me. Because when you give everything, you get caught. I only served exact portions of myself. The first one was escape. With him, I didn't think, I didn't ask, I didn't plan. Pure impulse. The second one was emotional, the one who listened to me complain about my wedding without knowing he was part of the disaster. The third one fed my ego, someone who wanted me without conditions. The fourth one was danger, the one who made me feel like I was playing with fire. The fifth was a mistake, the kind you shouldn't make, but you do it anyway, just to see how far you can go. And my fiancé, he lived with a completely different version of me, the correct version. The one who came home at the same time every night, the one who talked about expenses, the one who organized the house, the one who slept peacefully beside him when he had no idea I was coming from another body. I learned how to walk through the door naturally, not to smell different, not to look rushed, not to check my phone nervously, not to smile too much, not to pull away either. Balance became an art, and I was mastering it. The lies started getting sophisticated. No more improvised excuses. They became full stories with details, with invented witnesses, with coherent timelines. I even started believing my own versions. And that's dangerous because when you believe your lies, you become dangerous even to yourself. Meanwhile, the wedding kept moving forward like a machine. Menu tasting, guest list, the dress almost finished, couple photos, smiling in parks, cafes, places where I had been just hours before with another man, laughing differently, touching differently, being someone else. And the absurd part is that I didn't feel like a villain. I felt active, alive, awake, as if only then I was finally choosing something, even if it was wrong. My friends talked about nerves, pre-wedding anxiety, normal doubts. I nodded along. It wasn't that I didn't have doubts. I had 5 reasons not to get married, and I kept going anyway. There were days when I literally went from one bed to another with only a few hours in between. I changed clothes, perfume, expression, but not guilt. Guilt traveled with me. I carried it like an invisible purse. Some days it felt heavier, some days lighter. It never disappeared. Tension started building between them, not personally, but energetically. Because keeping 5 fronts open demands an emotional cost no one on the outside sees. It's not just kisses, it's expectations, silences, jealousy that shouldn't exist but does anyway. One started asking for more time, another noticed my disappearances, one got impatient, one vanished and came back, and I held everything together with digital smiles, measured messages, and soft promises. Sometimes I woke up to overlapping messages, 5 screens, 5 universes, one single foundational lie. I replied with almost automatic speed, as if my brain had created a parallel system strictly for deception. And my fiancé kept trusting me. He asked if I was okay, if I was too stressed about the wedding, if I needed a trip for us to relax. I said yes to everything. And then I said no with another body. Deep down, I knew this couldn't last. No one holds 5 major lies without one of them starting to bleed. But I also knew something more dangerous. I still wasn't ready to stop. Because at some point, it wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. About that dark place where I felt like I had absolute control over something. Over everything. Except the ending. And the ending started to show up in the clumsiest, most ridiculous way. Not with a dramatic scene, not with a fight, not with a scream, but with something tiny, something so small I ignored it at first. A detail out of place, a message read at the wrong moment, a badly calculated coincidence, and a question far too specific. That's when I realized my perfect system wasn't so perfect anymore. That one of my 5 pieces was no longer obeying the board. And when one lie slips out of place, it drags all the others down like dominoes. I still wasn't exposed, not officially, but for the first time since it all began, I felt real fear. And that fear didn't come from losing them. It came from being seconds away from losing everything. The detail was stupid, so small that if someone told it to me, I would have said it proved nothing. But betrayals don't fall because of explosions. They fall because of tiny mistakes. That day, I was in the kitchen with my fiancé. He was checking his phone while I made coffee. Nothing strange, nothing tense, everything normal. Too normal. Until a notification sounded on mine. I didn't see it, but he did. He didn't grab the phone. He didn't check it. He didn't ask anything. He just looked up at me for 1 second longer than usual. A second that wasn't jealous, wasn't accusing. It was curious. And that curiosity was the first thing that froze my spine. Then he smiled, told me the coffee smelled good, and went back to what he was doing. I did the same. On the outside. On the inside, something cracked. Because that message didn't come from who it was supposed to come from. It came from the one who should never, ever appear at that hour. I knew it. He didn't. Not yet. From that moment on, I started noticing things I hadn't before, because when you constantly watch everyone else, you have no eyes left to watch yourself. But when you suspect something, everything changes. My fiancé started asking new questions, simple ones, disguised as interest. How did it go with that friend? What happened with that meeting? Are you always out this late now? I answered just like always. No hesitation, no nerves. but something in the way he listened was different, slower, sharper. Before, he accepted my answers. Now, he stored them. Meanwhile, I started making mistakes, small ones, but frequent. A name that almost slipped out, a schedule that didn't perfectly match. One message answered too fast, another answered too late. The confidence that once armored me started to crack. And then it happened. One afternoon, when I was supposedly at a final dress fitting, one of them, the exact one who was never supposed to cross into my real life, decided to surprise me. Because people confuse silence with permission. He showed up at my door. I wasn't there, but my fiancé was. He told me the rest later. Soft knocks, a name said naturally, a poorly asked question, an even worse answer, an uncomfortable silence, and a rushed goodbye that clarified nothing and exposed everything. When I got home that night, he was sitting on the couch. He didn't yell. He didn't interrogate me. He didn't explode. He looked at me with a calm that was terrifying. He asked how the dress fitting went. I lied, without knowing that lie had already been born dead. That night, he didn't hold me when we went to sleep. And that was the real beginning of the collapse. From then on, the way he looked at me changed. He started noticing my hands when I texted, my smile when I looked at the screen, my silences, my mental absences, the way I avoided eye contact at certain moments. I thought I could save it, that I could readjust the lies, that I could cut one off, erase another, make the fifth one disappear. I truly thought I was still in time. You are never in time when the other person has already stopped believing you. Because he wasn't going to confront me without proof. He wasn't impulsive. He was methodical. And that was infinitely worse. He checked schedules, compared dates, connected dots I had left loose out of exhaustion. Because lying that much is exhausting. It drains you. It makes you sloppy. I kept living my double life without knowing I was no longer alone in sustaining the lie. He was working too, just from the other side. And one day, without warning, he told me he had to go out for work, that he'd be back late. He kissed my forehead like always. I nodded like always. And I left. I went to meet one of them, believing I still had control, believing I could still move the pieces, believing I was still invisible. I wasn't. When I came back, the house was silent, too orderly, too still, like when someone has already made a decision. I sat on the couch, turned on the TV without seeing anything. And then I saw my phone. On the table, in a place where I never left it, with the screen on, and one single message open. I didn't need to read it. The name was enough. The timestamp was enough. The half-written sentence was enough. In that instant, I understood something with brutal clarity. It no longer mattered how many new lies I invented. The game was over. There was no screaming in the house. There was no fight yet. There was just an invisible presence crushing my chest. My fiancé was in the other room, waiting. And for the first time since it all began, I knew I wasn't running away anymore. I was running straight into the end.
I walked into the bedroom with my heart pounding in my throat. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, his back straight, his hands resting calmly on his knees. He didn't look like an angry man. He looked like a man who already understood everything. And that was much worse. "We need to talk," he said, without raising his voice. I stayed standing near the door, like I still thought I could escape. If this is about today, I can explain, I started. He raised his hand. Don't speak, not yet. He stood up slowly, walked to the table, and picked up my phone. He held it in the air like it weighed too much. I just want you to tell me one thing, he said. Look me in the eyes. How many are there? I felt the floor shift under me. He didn't ask if there was someone else. He asked how many. I still tried to hold on to one last lie. One, I whispered. He smiled. A sad, empty smile. There are 5, he said. 5 names, 5 dates, 5 versions of you. My body went cold. There was no more theater, no more excuses, no more control. I can explain, I said, not even knowing what I was trying to save. No, he cut me off. You already explained everything with your messages, your photos, your schedules. I just want to understand one thing. While you were planning our wedding, were you also planning to sleep with someone else today? I didn't answer. And my silence spoke louder than any confession. Do you know what I did today? I canceled the venue. I called the photographer. I lost the deposit. I explained to my parents that the woman I was going to marry doesn't exist. That hit me straight in the chest. I never meant to hurt you, I said. He let out a short, humorless laugh. That's incredible. 5 men, months of lies, an entire wedding built on deception. And you say you didn't mean to hurt me? He stepped closer. Did you ever love me? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. Because the truth was this. I had loved him, but I didn't know how to protect him when he stopped awakening something in me. And that didn't make me any less guilty. You were an expert at disappearing. You disappeared from your phone, from the house, from the bed, but never from my plans. I was always here, with you, only with you. I lowered my eyes. I'm not the victim here, he added, but you're not the person I believed in. The words burned. I'm leaving tonight, and tomorrow everyone will know. That's when I exploded. Everyone, I repeated. You're going to make a scandal? No, he replied. The scandal is what you already created. I'm just going to stop hiding it. I screamed, I cried, I begged. I humiliated myself. I promised I would cut them all off, that we would go to therapy, that we could start over, that nothing was lost. He listened without interrupting me. When I finished, he said only this. I don't want to marry someone. I have to monitor just to feel safe. And with that sentence, everything ended. He left with a small suitcase, just the essentials. I stayed standing in the middle of the apartment, surrounded by boxes of memories, gifts, wedding papers, dresses, dreams that now looked like ridiculous costumes. Hours later, my phone started to explode.
messages from family, confused friends, worried parents, questions I couldn't answer without completely stripping myself bare. And the next day, the rumor was no longer a rumor. The perfect bride had fallen. Some said I destroyed him. Others said he overreacted. Others said there had to be another side to the story. Yes, there was a story. This one. 5 men, 1 engagement, a canceled wedding, a broken future. I lost my stability. I lost my reputation. I lost the only man who had ever loved me without conditions. And they disappeared, one by one, the moment the drama stopped being exciting. Because no one wants to stay when the lie no longer shines. Today, I don't plan weddings anymore. I plan never to lie to myself like that again. Do I regret it? Yes. Am I ashamed? Also, yes. But this is my truth, and truths don't always make you look good. Sometimes they only leave you naked in front of who you used to be. And that is the final punishment.